so spicy. If you guys love chilies, you're gonna love this one. Wow, that egg is a total heart stealer. And then the spicy porky spaghetti. And don't forget to let it snow cheese, my friends. We are doing a spicy pork and basil spaghetti. Is it the best one? I think it could be the best one. Okay, so we are totally pissing off all the pasta gods today because we're doing a spicy pork and chili spaghetti with cheese and egg. All the good things in my book. If you are a pasta purist, you should look away right now. If not, welcome. So let's get started on the spicy, flavorful part first. I need some garlic. And those of you familiar with Thai food, we are making a pad kra bao base for our spaghetti here. So I'm just going to take the skins off this garlic first of all. And now the chili. So I am going with 2 of these very spicy bird's eye red chilies. And then these ones are a specialty here in Thailand called prikinu. And wow, they are really hot, guys. Super hot. So be aware, if you're using these, maybe use a little less or more, depending on what you love. And then for some color and not too much heat, I'm gonna add a large red chili. Now a little bit of salt will help everything break down in here. And just pound this to a sort of smoothish paste. Right, now this is the sort of situation that you're looking for here. I can smell that fire already. Eye-wateringly spicy, this one. Now before I do anything else, I'm gonna get my pasta straight into some hot water. If anything, pasta is all about timing, and I wanna time my spaghetti to be ready and go straight into the pan with the spicy sauce. You'll see why it's also important. It all comes together like magic. Spaghetti in. Now this is salted boiling water. We won't argue with the Italians on that one. And now, while the pasta's cooking, I'm gonna do my spicy pork. So I want some oil in here and that garlic chili paste. And now the pork. Now you could do chicken or beef here as well. Now when that pork is almost cooked, I'm gonna add in my sliced green beans. We just add some extra crunch and some greenery, which is nice. Now with our seasoning sauces here, we're going with the Thai side of things and adding what you would add to a normal pad kra bao or basil stir fry here in Thailand. So some oyster sauce, soy sauce, fish sauce, and just a little dash of sugar. Now of course, for that very classic pad kra bao flavor, you need bai kra bao, which is what we call a holy basil here in Thailand. And it looks like this. It's a little furry and has a rough edge here. Now this gives it a very distinctive, like very herbal, aniseed, spicy, in fact it's also called spicy basil, kind of flavor. Now try and search this out at an Asian grocer. It really is worthwhile. If not, just use some Italian basil or some Thai basil. Okay, so let's check our pasta. It should be just cooked, still a little firm through the middle, so al dente, because I want to finish off the cooking in the pan. Now we'll save some of that pasta water in case we need to loosen up the sauce a little later. It's always good to do that. And my pasta goes straight in with the pork. See what I mean about the timing? Now the key here is to mix and heat and mix and let that pasta soak up all those gorgeous flavors in that pan and allow the sauce to kind of thicken up and just cling to every strand of pasta. Okay, now look at that. See how glossy that pasta is and all that liquid has been soaked up. Everything is just looking delightful, I have to say. I might just loosen this up a little bit with some pasta water. Stir that again, and we are looking good to go, my friends. Get that out onto a plate. And just make a little indent in here. Make some room for our egg. And I've made what the Japanese would call an onsen egg. I've just put some eggs into some boiling water, then turned the heat off and allow them to sit around for about 20 or 30 minutes. This is going to give you a very runny egg. So if you'd rather cook yours a little longer, then just do a regular boiling method. So just crack that and then gently slide that egg out. And now I'm going all out here with my fusion pasta, and I'm gonna add some Parmesan cheese. Okay, so this looks pretty delightful to me. Let's get in there and have a look. That egg is gonna lend all of that creamy yolkiness to the rest of the pasta dish. And then some of that porky goodness. Okay, I really have made myself very happy today. Wow, you guys know how much I love my fusion pasta. Whoa. Is it the best one? I think it could be the best one. If you're a fan of spicy Thai salads, then you cannot afford to miss out on this one, guys. This is the classic spicy Thai beef salad, Nua Nam Tok. Okay, so there are a couple of little tips and tricks and some ingredients here to get the flavors totally on point in like a traditional kind of way. So first up, we're gonna do a very simple marinade for our beef. I'm gonna start off with some palm sugar. And you guys buying palm sugar outside of Thailand usually find it in this kind of form. It's very hard, little cakes, and just use a sharp knife to shave the sugar. Now the reason you want to get a really nice fine shaving here is because you want the sugar to be able to dissolve in your salad dressing and the marinade. And if you sort of hack it off in clumps, that won't happen. Now I want about 3 teaspoons or so. Okay, now I just want a little bit of this for my marinade, and the rest goes into another bowl for my dressing for later. Okay, the rest of the marinade is just a little bit of fish sauce, and a good dash of finely ground black pepper, and then just mix it all together. Okay, let's talk about the steak. And I'm using strip loin today, sirloin, porterhouse, rump steak. These are all good things that you could be using. The only thing I will say though is that you don't want it too thick. So these guys are pretty thick, large pieces of steak. So what I'm gonna do is just grab some baking paper. And if you have a meat mallet at home, you can totally use that. I always find the less sort of utensils I have in my kitchen, the better. So I'm just gonna use the bottom of a saucepan, just give that a good whack. Okay, so that's probably about 2 centimeters, half an inch thick. That's perfect. Now just get your pieces of steak into that marinade and give them a good mix. So this marinade does not need long, guys. I just need to leave it aside for a few minutes while I get some other ingredients done. So one of the very key ingredients for a traditional version of this salad is roasted rice powder. Now to make that, you're gonna need to start off with some raw sticky rice, and you might see it labeled as glutinous rice in the Asian grocer. That is what you're looking for. You can try it with jasmine rice, but I do find the particles are a bit firmer. They don't sort of grind down as fine. So anyway, here's my sticky rice. I'm gonna get that into a hot pan. Now just keep this moving, just like if you were toasting pine nuts or peanuts. I want a really nice golden color. Okay, now just pop that into my mortar and just grind this to a fine powder. Okay, so this is the sort of situation that you're looking for. Okay, now we're ready to do our steaks. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil to a hot pan. What I do here when I'm cooking steaks at home is I wait for a really nice, beautiful dark color on the first side. So I just let it sit there for a little while. Once I get that color, then I'm going to turn it over, turn the heat down a little bit, and keep flipping the steak until it's evenly cooked all the way through. Oh, that color is really nice. Now, whenever I'm doing strip loin or sirloin and there's that layer of fat on the outside of the steak, I always like to make sure I upend the steak and really get some color and render away some of that fat as well. Okay, so I can tell by just poking that steak with my finger that that is a nice medium rare. Okay, steaks definitely need to rest. So let those guys just settle down and rest a little while we make our salad dressing. So that palm sugar that we shaved off a little earlier, I've got that in a bowl. I'm gonna add some fish sauce and some chili powder. Now, I like to go hard on the chili powder for this one. It should be a really spicy dish, but tone it down if you like. And then we want some lime juice as well. Just like to push down on these limes first, break up the insides a little, makes them a little juicier. And then we've got that toasted rice powder that we made. All right, give that a mix. Okay, now we're really getting down to the salad part. I'm gonna grab a few of these red Asian shallots, just some fine slices of those. Okay, now one of my little secret tips for this salad is that I like to mix the warm beef and those shallots or the red onion first with the salad dressing. It sort of cuts through some of that harsh onion flavor from the finished dish. So let me slice up this steak. And the idea here is you want really fine, thin slices. So as with almost any Thai dish, this is meant to be eaten with rice and with a fork and a spoon. So it should be so fine and tender that you can eat it with rice and without a knife. Now pile that beef in on top of those shallots. And I want a good few spoonfuls of that dressing. These resting juices, they're like liquid gold, guys. They go in as well. Okay, give everything a really good mix. Okay, so now we're at the herb stage, and the herbs for this salad should be super prominent, so don't be shy with the herbs. First of all, the mint, that's the most important, and you want to pick off, I'm going to use almost like a whole bunch in here. And then this one is optional because it's going to be a little hard for you guys to find, but I thought I would show you the very traditional herb that we would use in the salad in Thailand, and this is called sawtooth coriander, and you can see the edges of this leaf has that sort of saw shape or pattern, and you can find this perhaps from like a Thai grocer or an Asian grocer. If not, you could use normal coriander or just leave it out altogether. And then I want some spring onion as well. And now some more of that dressing. I just like to add a little bit of the dressing, give it a mix. Okay, let's see. That's good. I think it can take a little bit more dressing. And just because, you know, I'm me, I'm gonna add a little bit more chili powder. Ah, this is smelling so beautiful. I wish you guys could smell this with me right here. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm gonna put this out onto a plate. And then here in Thailand, we serve this with a few other little things. We take some cabbage, and because this is typically quite fiery, what you do is you eat some of the salad and then you pick off some of these cabbage leaves, and that kind of cools down your palate a little bit as you're eating it. And then the other thing that cools down your palate while you're eating the very spicy salad are snake beans. So you can see these are quite a lot longer than regular green beans. Got sort of like a rough texture. Okay, now if you're in the northeast of Thailand where this dish comes from, you'd be eating this with some sticky rice. When I'm eating at home, I usually just serve it with some steamed rice or just on its own if you can handle the spicy. If you're fried rice obsessed like I am, you are gonna love this fried rice version. It's packed with basil, chicken, a spicy chili paste. Ah, so good. If I had to pick like a last meal kind of scenario, fried rice would be way up there. Oh, I can't get enough of it. This one is extra special because I'm combining that amazing Thai dish pad krapao with the rice itself into one spicy stir-fried goodness. So super exciting. We're gonna start off with the chicken though. So to me, fried rice is all about the rice. So your protein, you shouldn't have too much of it, and it should be sliced very small. So you can see I've got my chicken breast here, and look at how thin and small those pieces are. That means they're gonna cook really quickly in the wok. And to that, I'm gonna add a little bit of fish sauce and a dash of white pepper. I do love to marinate my proteins before stir frying them for fried rice, just to give some extra flavor. Now give that a good mix. And now of course, because this is a spicy fried rice, we're gonna go with the chilies. So I'm using these bird's eye chilies. I think for me, I'm gonna go with 6. It's gonna be pretty fiery, so up to you guys how many you would like. If you can't get these bird's eye chilies, just pick a spicy chili in your local area and that should be just fine. And I also want some garlic in there. So this is gonna make like a garlic chili paste. It's really gonna give some oomph to our fried rice. I always like to add a little bit of salt when I'm using my mortar and pestle because it just helps to break down the fibers as I'm pounding the paste. So you just want a rough paste here, and this is the kind of scenario that you're looking for. So while that chicken is marinating, we're gonna make a few more bits and pieces for our fried rice. And for me, a fried egg, a crispy fried Asian style egg is exactly what you need with any kind of Thai stir fry. So we're gonna do that first of all. Now we need quite a bit of oil here because it's almost like we want the egg to shallow fry in that oil. This is an Asian style crispy egg, not your regular fried egg. And then once that oil's nice and hot, go ahead and pour your egg in. Should hear the sizzle straight away. Now just use your spatula to flick some oil over the top of the egg, and then we want to leave this to get really nice and crispy. Now once you can see those beautiful crispy edges, strain that egg and then pop it on some paper towel. And then you need 1 egg per person because I'm certainly not sharing my crispy egg. So now let's talk about the basil. So this dish is inspired, or the flavors come from, a stir fry called pad grapao here in Thailand. And it's made with a basil that we call grapao. It's also known as hot basil, spicy basil, and it does have a kind of like bit of a spicy flavor to it. Now, if you're looking for it in your Asian grocery store, what it looks like is it's got this green stem and the leaves are a kind of matte texture. They're not shiny, and you can see that they've got ridges on the side here. Now, the other kind of basil that people get a bit confused with for this dish is Thai basil, and we call that horapa here in Thailand. So you can see it's very different. Often you'll find a dark purple little flower or a purple stem. And if you have a look at the leaves, you'll see the Thai basil is a little shinier, smooth edges compared to your hot basil. So they're the 2 different basils that you might find in your Thai or Asian grocer, and you're looking for the spicy one. Now, I don't want you guys to miss out if you can't get the spicy hot basil. So just use Thai basil or use Italian basil. Won't be exactly the same flavor, but you will get something a little similar. So don't worry if you can't get it. Now the most important thing is that we have a lot of basil. You really want a big basil flavor for this fried rice. Now the last thing we want to prepare before we stir fry is our stir fry sauce. It's very simple, a little bit of oyster sauce, soy sauce, fish sauce, and then a little dash of sugar to balance out all that saltiness. Okay, so time to do the stir frying, which means it's nearly time for the eating, my favorite bit. So I've just taken out some of the oil that I used to cook the eggs. I've got a few tablespoons left in here. And then I'm gonna add my chili and garlic paste and hopefully not have a coughing fit on camera. Chilies are very spicy. Okay, now my onions straight away. And then I like to spread everything out just to the edges before I add my chicken in. That'll give the chicken plenty of opportunity to get in contact with that hot wok. So whenever you're, see, I told you. Now, whenever you're adding protein to a wok, just try and spread it out so that it really gets a nice sear on it rather than steaming and stewing. Once that chicken has had some time to get some nice color on the first side, now I'm going to stir fry it all together. Because that chicken is so thinly sliced, you can see it's just about cooked already. Once your chicken is cooked through, add your rice. Now this is day-old rice. I do have a video on my YouTube channel for how to make rice for fried rice if you'd like to try that one out. And now add in your stir-fry sauce and give everything a good mix. And then finally we want our basil. Ah, I wish you guys could smell that basil. Makes all the difference in this dish. Now, all that's left to do is serve up our fried rice. Now, don't forget the crispy egg. And then I like to have a few slices of cucumber and just a little wedge of lime to squeeze over at the end. Okay, let's have a look. This is like fried rice at a totally new level. Ooh, and so spicy. If you guys love chilies, you're gonna love this one. I didn't spill anything on my jacket. How good's that? Professional. Okay, so I have an obsession with spicy noodles, but these kimchi spiked ramen noodles, holy smokes, this one has everything a girl could wish for. So the first thing we're going to do is turn a store-bought stock into something super magical. A little bit of oil and some onion. And we're basically building up a whole bunch of spicy, yummy, umami flavor. And I just want these onions to really soften up. You must always be patient when you're sizzling onions. We really want that soft, sweet, savory flavor, not raw onion flavor. So my onions have turned translucent. Time to add my garlic. And then I've got some slices of ginger here. I've sliced them really large because I want to fish them out at the end. And they're just going to infuse their lovely gingeriness into our broth. And now for some kimchi. So you can find kimchi in most supermarkets these days. Look for it in the fridge section. And I've got here the kimchi cabbage itself. And then my little tip for you always is to just steal a little bit of the kimchi juice out of the packet as well and put a little bit of that in whatever dish that you're cooking, a stir fry or anything like that, because it's got loads of flavour. I'll pour that in there. Okay, now the chicken. And I think for this dish, really you want the dark meat because we want everything to break down, get all gelatinous and soft, and we want that really intense flavour as well. And this is going to simmer for a while, so breasts will dry out a little bit. And I've also kept these pieces on the bone because I think that the bone just tends to add a little bit more of that gelatinous texture to the soup. And we want that chicken to get all mixed up in there with everything else. And then we want some soy sauce. Okay, now time for the stock. So if you've got a beautiful homemade stock at home, please go ahead and use it. I'm happy to doctor up a store-bought stock always if it's going to save me a little bit of time. If I'm having a weeknight dinner. And to be honest, you're adding so much flavor with this kimchi that you won't even notice. And one other little secret ingredient that I have up my sleeve is Korean gochujang, and that's a fermented chili paste. It is savory, full of umami, and it's not super spicy, which is why I like to use a whole heap of it because it adds so much extra flavor and such a lovely color too. So the easiest way to do this is to just pop a ladle into your soup. And I'm gonna just dissolve that paste because it's quite thick in that ladle rather than just sort of having it float around in there. Mix that through. Now just bring that up to a gentle simmer and then put the lid on, and I want that to keep going and simmering away for about an hour until that chicken is full tender. So let's have a look and see what's been happening in our pot. And that is seriously magical. That fragrance is amazing. So I know a classic ramen broth would take 8 hours, 9 hours, but we're doing the shortcut version today. So this is still gonna have a huge amount of flavor, and just because, you know, I like to do things a little bit extra, we're gonna get it roasty and toasty and really lovely and golden in the oven. So I'm gonna pull out my chicken pieces. Okay, and we're gonna add even more flavor by just basting these guys with a little bit of sesame oil. And then just a little sprinkling of salt. Now pop these under a really hot oven grill for about 10 minutes or until they're beautifully golden. Okay, now remember those ginger pieces that we put in at the beginning? I'm just going to take those out. And as always, I'm going to check my broth for seasoning. That flavor, the kimchi, the spicy gochujang, incredible. Okay, so that chicken has undergone a magical transformation. It is beautiful and golden. Now, I'm gonna get it onto my chopping board. Okay, now this is the part you don't wanna miss, guys. This chicken is literally just falling away from the bone. I'm not even touching it with that knife almost. It's just coming straight off. Ridiculous, joyful, all of those things. Okay, these noodles are looking good. And of course, because it's ramen, I have giant bowls. Small bowl just wouldn't do. Now back to this amazing broth, and I just want to scoop out some little chunks of kimchi for each bowl. Make sure everyone gets a little portion. And now that glorious soup. And of course I want some of these chicken pieces, and then the final touches. Egg and some spring onion. Now, I am ready for the couch.